All right, welcome to the second episode of the Schoolhouse Scuttlebutt. Listeners, I appreciate you tuning in. We've got another special guest today. We're going to kind of hit a few topics that a lot of teachers are dealing with in today's classroom that revolve around the world of technology. So, as always, I'm your host, Mr. D. Again, this is our second episode. We're going to power on through and see what we can come up with this in this little meeting. So, today my guest is, I'm going to let her introduce herself.
I'm Jenna.
And Jenna, what type of role have you served as far as in the educational world?
I taught elementary school music for 8 years.
Oh, okay, awesome. How was that?
It was fun and interesting while it lasted.
So 8 years. So even within that 8-year span, we're talking about technology. There's lots of different challenges, different changes that we've seen, especially from when we were both in school growing up, watching our teachers stand behind overhead projectors and stuff like that. So, well, I appreciate you joining us today. There's no reason to waste any time, so we'll hop right on into it. So our topic for discussion today is, with so many advancements in technology, do children today care about the classroom anymore? And what I mean is, are we wasting their time? These kids, they're born with iPads in their hands, so from day one, they're just so used to working with technology. And then they come into our classroom and they're told to, hey, here's your seat, here's your pencil, let's see what we can do. Now, a lot of kids, especially those young ones, they tend to like that environment. But as they get older and smartphones and smartwatches are playing big factors, are we wasting their time? So I guess one of my big questions is, what is your overall response to that question? With so many advancements in technology, do children today care about learning in the classroom anymore?
I think just as educators in the past have faced their challenges, I think we constantly have to be on the other side of it, knowing what's coming up. I feel like, yes, children have gotten very lackadaisical in their care about their work, like their quality of work when they turn it in. I feel like sometimes they can get even a little lazy in the process because technology is always in their hands, at their fingertips, at the push of a button. They can even autocorrect what they want to put in for their search. Find it, there's the answer. I think it has really affected kids' work ethic, as far as give it to me now because this is what I'm always used to kind of thing. So I think they do care about learning. It's just they want instant learning, instant gratification, whereas maybe when we were in school, it was more of the process and the end goal was the result.
Yeah, definitely like that answer. I mean, that kind of hits a big, broad view of that. The way the kids, instant gratification is a term that we hear quite often, not only with kids, but with adults. They want it now, they want it right then and there, and they want to be done with it, which at times I can't fault them as well, because there's things that come in our lives, we want to get it done, be done with it. But, that's a very good answer. So kind of moving on, as educators, and you kind of hit on a little bit, so how do we keep our students motivated and engaged in learning with this presence of technology, with the Chromebooks, with the MacBooks? With the iPads, how do we keep them motivated and engaged so as not to kind of fall to the side of, I don't need to listen to this, I'll get on YouTube and figure it out later?
Right. We just always have to be ahead of the game, I think. We have to know, first of all, we have to know our actual, the technology entities that we're using. You need to be familiar with both platforms, whether it be, Apple or
like Google Chromebook and stuff.
Chromebook. You need to be familiar with the platforms. You need to be able to do whatever you're asking your students to do. So That's also challenging, especially for those people who have been teaching for a very long time. For me, it was not as much technology. It wasn't as much in my classroom as a whole, because I felt like in music class, that was the time for the kids to get up and move more as opposed to sitting in front. But we did do some. I tried to more incorporate technology the longer I was teaching.
Nice. Like I said, if we ask our students to be able to do something, that us as educators, we should be able to do the same thing. And at times that does become a big stepping stone for us as teachers, because I remember growing up, we'd get a new video game console and, my brothers and I, we could rip into it. We can get the games, everything's rolling. And then you would watch your dad get on there and it's like, come on, Father Time. And now, being an adult, I feel like I've kind of moved into that position. Mm-hmm. And there are times we use what's called a box light instead of smart boards now.
Yes.
And if things start to give us trouble, in the split second, if I don't have time to get it corrected, I know I have a whiz kid. I can be like, hey, come up here, reset
Yes.
that. So like you said, taking that and then their abilities, their knowledge of the technology, using it to your strength and letting them, hey, come up here and straighten this out. So awesome.
That gives them, that is actually one way to, I think, motivate kids too in using technology, is that, always having that one tech helper for the day or for the week or whatever that is. Like, you're my person that I know can come and fix this if something goes wrong. That helps motivate students too.
I definitely agree. That's a good point. We have classroom jobs, like I'm sure you had the same. One of our jobs, I call it the Geek Squad. So at the end of the day, or beginning and end of the day, the kids are responsible for unlocking a computer cart.
Yeah.
And then, make sure they're there, everything's kind of form plugged up, then locking it back up. But also, like you said, incorporating that job, hey, you're my guy this week, you're my girl this week, come up here, see if you can fix this. Yeah. And we can, the teacher doesn't have to stop what they're doing. And on the side, they're kind of motivated, like, hey, I'm responsible. And,
I want to learn. I want that job.
Yep. It's my time to shine. My time to shine. Very good. So like what were some strategies that you used or you've seen other teachers use to ensure that technology enhances rather than distracts from the learning and experience?
For me, in the music classroom, I tend to try to find the actual like reputable sites, or using even, I've done like a GarageBand orchestration project before where the kids, but again, being familiar with whatever it is that you're putting out there. There have been times where, like lesson falls flat on its face because I didn't do my part and make sure that, we can even get on this site at school because I've, maybe planned it at home. But I think just being prepared and knowing what's out there to use to incorporate it, and just make sure that it's not just something that's just, here, I need you to sit and be quiet. Like that's why we're doing this. You're getting out your computer because I'm tired of teaching.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely, unfortunately, do see a lot of that. And with when COVID took place, it really, it kind of brought everything to a halt. It opened our eyes on what are these computers, what are they capable of doing with these computers at home?
Yeah, what could we do? What could we accomplish?
One thing you hit on during that question during your answer was the lesson faltering. I mean, I'm with you. I can't tell you how many times, because we are where we are in today's world with trying to go digital, digital textbooks, digital writings, all that. So being a teacher, they want to see, hey, let's go ahead, instead of giving them pen and paper, let's get this put online so they can do it online. Well, you can sit there for hours. You can have the perfect lesson plan, the perfect assessment. And then when you go to present it the next morning, you get email, Wi-Fi is down for the day. Exactly. So right there, it's just always, that kind of takes you back to the old days, like, hey, pencil, paper, always have that backup. Right. So very good input on that. With technology, do you find that it helps students develop critical thinking and problem solving skills? This is a big topic because a lot of people, I'm not necessarily educators, but maybe it's more so the older generation, they feel, well, if we just stick them behind a computer, they're going to be the robots, and they're just going to let the robot do it for them. So do you think with all the technology we have that students can still develop those critical thinking and problem solving skills?
I think a lot of research has shown lately that actually screen time too early is detrimental to lots of development, like especially younger ones. But I know like in our local school districts here, they don't really do that. They kind of wait, I think, until maybe they're, 7, 8, 9 to really give them that Chromebook daily to use. But still, like I'm not so sure if it's helping or if it's depriving them of some of those skills.
Yeah.
I think that our questioning skills have been hit drastically from the computer. Like the way kids can approach questions or even feel comfortable asking questions. Because maybe they feel like they can just Google it and find the answer anyway. Yeah,
I mean that's very, very good point. And kind of, like I said, I remember when we were growing up, the thing we were always told, you're not always going to have a calculator everywhere you go. Well, joke's on you. I got a calculator everywhere I go. But then you also got to think about those, like we're talking about critical thinking, problem-solving skills in the real world. Well, yeah, we do have the world at our fingertips for research and stuff. But just yesterday, for 24 hours, the internet was out. And it felt like it was a Stone Age. Yeah, I've got my power and I've got my water, but what can I do with it? So
get the DVDs out.
So it kind of always, like, even though they're very good tools, everything's implemented for a specific reason, and it's the way the world is kind of moving forward. We can't stop progress. We're never going to be able to stop it. All we can do is either get with it or get run over. Mm-hmm. But Awesome. Those are all very good points. And as we close up, I guess one of the things that kind of sticks out to me as an educator, not as only as an educator, but as a parent, have you noticed any changes in students' attitudes towards learning since the integration of technology?
I can just say this from experience in teaching. So I started teaching in 2011, and just from 2011 until now, I went from having a projector screen, which was just whatever was on the computer. It wasn't touchscreen. We had this Mobi View thing that you had to walk around the classroom with, and then we went to smart boards, and then we went to the TVs, which was like crazy. And I've had to go back and forth depending on which school district I was in, what they had available at the time. It does, I think, like kids get excited for new technology and things. So there's that excitement about learning, I guess, with the technology. But then there's also, again, like, what about their writing skills? Like penmanship has drastically suffered. But as far as the kids, I definitely think that they love to get out to work on the computer, just because it's bright, it's engaging, it's got bright lights, the colors, all of the platforms that we're using are great. But then again, that's why maybe we struggle when we go back and forth between traditional learning and technology learning, because they're bored, I guess, is what you would say.
I've got you. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to computers in a classroom or iPads in the classroom, the way I kind of look at it is we're speaking the kids' language when we use these devices. Right. Now, are they going to get bored? Of course they do. There's times at home when they probably get bored and they put the game controller down. But like I said, it just depends on the educator themselves. How are you going to implement this? Don't use it as busy work. Don't say, oh, you already finished this. I don't have nothing for you. Please log into IXL or Extra Math or something silly like that. Right. Have a plan. And sometimes you have to have multiple plans because, like you said earlier in the podcast, sometimes things falter.
Yeah.
So eventually, the implementation of the Chromebooks, the MacBooks, the box lights, Apple TVs, all that's great. It's great technology. It's meant to make the workload on the teacher a little bit easier, but you also got to kind of be aware that sometimes technology is not going to work out. So you hit on a lot of good points today. I truly appreciate you taking the time to meet with us and kind of just discuss things with us. This was our second podcast, so we're really just kind of getting things up off the ground. But other than that, we appreciate you taking the time. We wish you a Merry Christmas and nothing but the best for the future.
Thank you.